Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy this video, we invite those of you who haven't yet done so, to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the notification icon, to be notified when the next one is uploaded. We'd also like to urge those of you who haven't yet done so, to sign our online petition for an inquiry into the BBC and Channel 4's coverage of Lewis Hamilton and Abu Dhabi. A link has been provided in the description. If you are on X, then please repost our tweet. Thank you. In June 2022, BBC News Africa produced a documentary titled Racism for Sale, which investigated how a Chinese video-making industry exploited African children by having them unknowingly chant racist phrases in Chinese, which they repeat with smiles and enthusiasm. With righteous indignation, they wrote in the description that, in February 2020, a shocking video began to circulate on Chinese social media. A group of African children are being instructed, by a voice-off camera, to chant phrases in Chinese. The kids repeat the words with smiles and enthusiasm, but they don't understand that what they're being told to say is "I am a black monster and my IQ is low." The clip ignited outrage in China and beyond. But no one ever answered the crucial questions. Why was this filmed? Where was it shot? Who made it? These questions send BBC Africa Eye and BBC Eye Investigations reporters Runiko Selina and Henry Mango on a journey into a Chinese video-making industry that exploits vulnerable children across the continent. Notably, the video has amassed just under 2 million views and almost 11,000 comments on a BBC News Africa channel that has just under 1.7 million subscribers. By comparison, the BBC's high-profile Roz Atkins video explaining the F1 drama between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, which was aired on the 13th of December, 2021 and posted on the main BBC News YouTube channel the next day, has amassed just over 500,000 views and some 2,000 comments, on a channel that has some 18 million subscribers. The striking contrast between the public response to the BBC Africa Eye documentary and the BBC News Roz Atkins explainer video can be seen as evidence of how the BBC failed in its duty to properly inform the public, or if you are a cynic, how well they performed in their Liberty Media-induced duty to dispel the notion that what happened in Abu Dhabi was racially motivated. The majority of the comments on the Roz Atkins video suggest the level of disconnect between the public and the BBC. For example, @Woodabenjam wrote, "We witnessed the biggest fix in sporting history and people want to celebrate it. My mind boggles." While @Tomnook commented that, "It's not a sport if the rules can be changed during the race." @Tomasz Rolinski wrote, "So one-sided it's unreal. Everything is out of context." @Harshsud7192 pointed out that, the BBC's explanation did not cover the entire picture. What we are witnessing here is the ebbing away of the public trust in the BBC. To start with, if they had told the truth about what happened in Abu Dhabi, then it would rightly have generated views commensurate with what was clearly the most controversial global topic at the time bar none. The fact that it generated a much lower response than the BBC Africa documentary says it all really, coupled with the significant number of commenters that eviscerated the integrity of the explainer video. Critically, in the Africa News video the condemnation was reserved for the villain of the piece, but in the BBC explainer video, it was the BBC itself that was the subject of heavy condemnation from across the spectrum. The investigative journalist Runiko Selina and those behind the documentary have been rightly commended for their sterling work in exposing the overt racism that fueled the villain. It will therefore be very interesting to see how she and all the other BBC personnel behind the video respond to us and any of you who may care to reach out to them. We will be reaching out to Mark Perkins, the head of investigations, Tom Watson, the BBC Africa Eye editor, and Runiko Selina herself, to name but a few, to see whether they can use their extensive investigating skills to answer the question of whether racism is for sale in the BBC as well. After all, when an organization that aspires to be a champion of diversity, equity, and inclusion nurtures an all-white enclave that systemically attacks the only black driver in F1, who also happens to be the GOAT and a British knight, while gaslighting the talents and credentials of a white Dutch racer of ill repute, who is widely touted as the villain of the sport, then it is worth investigating to confirm or deny any suggestion that racism is for sale in the BBC just as much or even worse than that exposed by the BBC Africa Eye documentary. We would also encourage you to forward this video or otherwise reach out to the various individuals listed below to ask for their response. This would help increase the chances that they will respond. The lead investigator was Runiko Selina, whose contact details are provided on her Twitter page. The head of investigations is Mark Perkins, whose contact details are also provided on his Twitter page. The BBC Africa Eye editor as posted on the YouTube page is one Tom Watson, but we have been unable to locate any contact details beyond his email address tom.watson@bbc.co.uk. The current editor is reportedly one Bilkisu Lebaran, whose contact details are also provided on her Twitter page. The executive producer is listed as Daniel Adamson, whose contact details are provided on his Twitter page. It will be interesting to see if we can get any of them to respond. We will keep you updated from our end, and if you choose to reach out to them, please keep us updated about your end. As we pointed out in our previous video, it is only a matter of time before the BBC will have to provide a substantive account of how it came to produce the F1 propaganda piece titled, Ros Atkins on, the Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen F1 title drama. The Africa Eye documentary delved into the circumstances surrounding the making of those videos, revealing a network that profits from such exploitative content. However, no one ever answered the crucial question: why does a self-proclaimed aspiring champion of diversity have an all-white F1 enclave? And produced a propaganda piece to gaslight the theft of Sir Lewis's 8th title, while systemically undermining him on a platform of lies as they are promoting and whitewashing a white Dutch driver of ill repute. Who is going to investigate how the BBC made a racially motivated propaganda video that exploited its reputation as the world's biggest news source, to push the misleading narrative that there was a rule which allowed the race director to make up his own rules in the middle of a race, to snatch a certain record-breaking victory away from the only black driver ever in the sport's 75-year history, and grant it to an uncrowned white driver that has been labeled the Great White Hope? Forza Ferrari.